Dobry rano from Prague. I'm standing here this morning at the statue of Our Lady of Exile, watching an absolutely amazing sunrise over the city of Prague. So this statue is actually located right next to the Strahov Monastery, very near Petrín Hill, Petrín Tower. And the purpose of today's video is actually we're taking a tour across the city of Prague to see some of the most amazing views that Prague has to offer. Some of these locations will be free and some will be paid. The location I'm at right now here at Our Lady of Exile is a free location. One thing I can highly recommend is waking up early, coming up here and watching the sunrise over the city of Prague. So from this angle, you see an amazing sunrise. And at the end of the day, you can go over by the Old Town Tower Bridge or one of the amazing parks over there and watch the sunset over Prague in the golden hour. So as we go across some of these views, the objective is really to not only show what views are available across the city, but the amazing history that is behind a lot of these views. So I hope you join me today. Let's take a exciting trip across Prague and the many locations and check out some of the spectacular views. So now we're at the Old Town Clock Tower. This was built in 1364. The tower is 70 meters tall, 230 feet tall up to the top of this. So we'll be going up here. Again, you get here before opening or the first hour of opening. It's a 50% discount to go up. Here it's actually good because there's an elevator to the top of this one as well. So the clock, the astronomical clock, the famous one, you would have seen right before this, the clock and the figurines that come out every hour on the hour, was built in 1410. So during the Prague Uprising, 1945, this building actually has significant damage to it. This is also very unique in that it is a fully wheelchair accessible tower. It's one of the most unique towers to have this, or medieval towers to have this in Europe. So just an extra, did you know? So in 2006, I was actually married. My wife and I got married in this building. You enter here, a kind of red building here to the left, and once you're married, you come out right over by the clock on the side. husband and wife. So yeah, 2006. Approaching 20 years. It'll be 20 years in October. Let's head to the top. Up in the tower. So it's great here if you do decide to walk up. It's a ramp system. So it's much easier to walk up than if you're walking up on stairs. So here we are on top of the tower. Absolutely perfect day today. Prague Castle. Petrín. St. Nicholas Church. Now this street right here is Paris Street. It's the most expensive shopping area of Prague right there. Letna. So down here, that's the Jan Hus monument. Kinsky Palace right here. Perfect view of Teen. So Teen is actually, it's weird. It's one of the only churches in Prague that I know of that you cannot take photos on the inside. I don't know why, but you can't. They actually follow you around to make sure that you're not taking pictures. Powder Tower. Žižkov TV Tower. Vítkov National Memorial. See right onto the rooftops. Church right there in front of us, the white one, is Our Lady of the Snows. And way over there is where all the modern buildings are. Prague does a great job of keeping those away from the beautiful architecture in the old section of Prague. lighting system if you're walking up to tell you when you can come up and go down. So we're up at Letna Park. This is a great vantage point here for the kind of the middle to backside areas of Prague. You see, we pan over here. You can see Teen all the way around to Petrín. Makes this location really good is actually during the day right back here. There's a great area to sit, order beer, food, stuff like that. It's early in the morning here, but in the afternoon this will be full. You can come out here. It's a beer garden. And back there you can see, maybe not where you order beer and stuff, but these are all the picnic tables. It's all elevated, so it gives you a much better view around here of the city. See Vítkov TV tower and the Vítkov memorial over there, the National Memorial. So during communist times, up here at Letna, there was a 15.5 meter granite statue of Stalin, and now they replaced it with a metronome. I'm not sure what's worse. This is the premier vantage point up at Letna. Great view of the bridges. Second bridge there is Charles Bridge. Swinging around from Old Town. Malastrana. See Petrín Tower at the top of Petrín Hill. The dome of St. Nicholas Church in Malastrana. Bell Tower, not part of St. Nicholas. It's actually owned by the city. Another great vantage point up there. And to the right of this would be Prague Castle up to Strahov Monastery. So this is an absolutely epic location to come up here. Again, absolutely free. Trees are starting to come into bloom. So if you're looking for that last location, come up into Letna. If you see the pond, it's right by that pond toward the city. Except Claude, if you come up here, there's a pool and a pond. Pond would be good for you. So now we're at the Lesser Town Tower Bridge. This tower was actually built in 1464 under King George of Poděbrady. So you can climb up this. It's actually a paid location, but if you get here at 10 a.m. when they open for the first hour, it's 50% off. So the cost is 200 crown. To go in, you can actually go into the tower on the right, not the one on the left. It's 146 stairs to the top. No elevator in this one. Views are really great, especially across the Charles Bridge to the other side, to the Old Town Tower Bridge. The tower is 43.5 meters tall. And definitely a choice. So really, if you get here at 10 a.m. and climb this one, you can go either up to Malá, very short walk from here, and go up the Old Town bell tower, the St. Nicholas bell tower. So you can do this one, you can do that one, and you can get across to the Old Town Tower Bridge on the other side if you're fast in an hour and save 50%. The other reason why it's kind of good to get up and get out early is the bridge, as the day goes on, gets extremely crowded. So I'm out here in the morning before it opens. We're not going to climb this one today. We're actually going to climb the Old Town Tower Bridge. And so yeah, we will head on. So here we are at the Old Town Tower Bridge. So this tower was actually completed in 1380 under the reign of Charles IV. The architect was Peter Parler. It's 138 steps to the top, just like the Lesser Town Tower Bridge. There is a fee to go up here. We will be going up to the top of this one. It's 200 crown, but again, you get here when it opens. I think now it's 10 a.m., but I think later in the summer it opens at 9 a.m. It's 50% off, so you can actually cover off this, even Old Town, Clock Tower, the one on the other end, and or St. Nicholas. This is actually part of the coronation route as well, that the king-to-be would take going up to St. Vitus.
메인이긴 한데 여기는 왼쪽 오른쪽에 앉아. 이렇게. 엄마 앉아. 아, 거기 말고 여기 앉아. 어디 갔어? 여기 있어. 껴. 그래.
this is how it would be inside the tower from the Middle Ages. You have wood on wood, no nails here. So our next stop is going to be Petrín Tower. 299 steps to the top, unless you got the cheat code. So the tower itself is 63.5 meters, 208 feet tall. And actually, if you go to the bottom of Petrín Hill, to the top of the tower, it's the same height as the Eiffel Tower. It was built in 1891 for the Prague exhibition. A bunch of people were in Paris, saw the Eiffel Tower and said, we want to build one of these here. So they went kind of halfway. And some will say, if you're from the UK, it's a replica of Blackpool Tower. 175 tons of steel were used to build the tower. So we're gonna go to the top. 299 steps. Oof. Here we go. This is a paid vantage point in Prague. Prague Castle. St. Vitus Cathedral. It's actually the largest castle complex in the world. Looking down on Malastrana. Strawhop Monastery. Charles Bridge. St. Nicholas Church in Malastrana. There's Teen and Old Town Square. Charles Bridge. Compa Park. Malastrana. It's the German embassy. there. Move this way. There's the American Embassy. Back. It's the stadium where Sparta Prague play there. View from the top. So this is the Great Strahov Stadium. It's actually built in 1926. And up until 2010, it was the largest stadium in the world. 250,000 people. And it was actually built for gymnastics events. This is another great location right in Petrín Hill, beneath the Strahov Monastery. Our next location is going to be here at the Prague Castle. Actually getting ready to do changing of the guard. We're going to come down this way. Spot right here by the Starbucks. Starbucks at the castle. So when Blink 182 was in Prague, Mark Hoppus in the middle of after one of the songs said, "Today I went up to the castle and there was a Starbucks." Come on, Prague. Do better. There's the German embassy, Petrín Tower on Petrín Hill. Strahov Monastery. So this is another location that NXS filmed part of the video. Never Tear Us Apart. St. Nicholas.
Danke, danke, hast das schon geschrieben. Ja.
So this is all Malestrana.
Ja, ich glaube, da ging das so los. Da waren die ersten 15 Nachrichten.
National Theater. This other church right here is
Sektfrühstück.
Our Lady Victorious. It's where the infant Jesus of Prague is located. 1 million visitors a year come to Prague to go to that church.
Das hat er mir aber geschenkt. Das hat sich Genau. Schenk mir das von unserem Konto.
It's the American Embassy, the backyard of the American Embassy there.
Ja, danke.
Get your picture taken with this guy's been here since 1346. Reminds me of the guards from the Wizard of Oz. This is the next spot down the lower half of the castle. Another free spot. You had to deal with the crowds, but it's part of the trick. Embassy of Poland right here. Great views So Old Town Teen, Žižkov Tower. Swing around Charles Bridge. Right there is Wallenstein Gardens, which is really beautiful, past the Czech flag in the summertime. It's not open yet. Way around St. Nicholas. The other steeple to the left there is St. Thomas Church. A lot of embassies in this area. This is a garden you can tour in the summertime. I don't know if it's open right now. Petrín. Oh, there's Letna. What a great view spot up there. Theater there in front of me. To the side is Rudolphium. It's a concert hall. Malostranska down here where the trams go. Metro station. Swing around. Okay, here we are at the National Monument of Žižkov. That is the Jan Žižka statue. And views up here of Prague. See Petrín Hill. Prague Castle. So this is free to come up here. You can actually tour the whole monument. The unknown soldiers here. Ceremonial hall. Presidential lounge. Totally free. Old town area. See the teen. Trains leaving from the main train station. So there's the Žižkov TV tower. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see the babies crawling up the side of it. So those babies were put on the tower. They were made by David Czerný. They're called Maminka. And they were put on the TV tower because it's such a brutalist eyesore in terms of architecture. They thought that might add a little bit to it. So I'm not going up here today. It's actually, to be honest with you, it's not worth paying to go up there. There's no outside observation tower or observation deck. There's Vyšehrad over there. Prague main train station. So the statue is of Jan Žižka. It's actually 9 meters tall, about 16 feet on top of the pedestal, and it weighs 16 tons. So when the Nazis invaded Prague, the Czech Republic, they actually looked for the mold of this statue to destroy it. Now, I haven't been able to find whether or not they were successful in doing that, but that's something they set out to do. So this area here is Karlín. It's a really up and coming area. Again, this church, St. Cyril and Methodius, absolutely beautiful church inside. This actually gives you an idea of how some of the old buildings, just how big they are. So they're massive courtyards in the center of these. This will give you a good idea right here. So the buildings go around, and in the center they have garden areas and courtyard areas. So this is the presidential lounge inside the monument. I have a whole video on this here, so the entire monument itself, but just wanted to show this real quick. Inside the ceremonial hall. It's all functionalist architecture, but a lot of it redone in communist times, so you can see the plainness of it all. So inside here, and it's closed, this used to be the mausoleum of Clement Gottwald in here. So he was actually the first communist president, and served as his mausoleum from 1953 to 1962. And in the mausoleum, they actually had a team of over 100 people down in the mausoleum that would look after his tomb, trying to keep the corpse from decomposing, and they worked 24/7. So didn't work too well. Eventually they had to give up, and it was all closed up. So this is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. In front of us is the tomb of General Eliash and his wife. They were killed by the Nazis. And on the left side here are two soldiers from World War I. And on the right side, two soldiers from World War II. So here's the statue, Jan Žižka statue from the front. Every year they still have military ceremonies here. So these are ceremonial doors. On the left are from the Hussite Wars, and on the right represents the Soviet liberation of Prague. I don't know. Were they really liberated? So actually US forces liberated the city of Pilsen southwest of here 3 days before the Russians entered, or the Soviets entered Prague. So down in Pilsen there's a lot of memorials to the US soldiers from World War II. Okay, so here we are at the dancing house. We'll head up in a minute to the cafe. But this was actually first opened in 1996. The architects of this building were Frank Gehry and Vladu Mlinovich. I'm not sure if I got that right, but as you can see, it has the shape of two dancers. The building on the right is Fred, and the one on the left is Ginger. So originally, Frank Gehry wanted to call this the Ginger and Fred house. I think he was outvoted. Frank Gehry actually holds a special place in my heart. I'm a massive USC football fan, and Frank Gehry was a 1964 graduate of the University of Southern California School of Architecture. So the building that was here before this was actually destroyed in a bombing raid during World War II. The Americans actually overflew Dresden and dropped some bombs on Prague. And there was an apartment building here before that, and destroyed that building. And it sat idle until 1996 when this was rebuilt. And really the two symbols, the Fred on the right really stands for the totalitarian governments of the past, the communist regimes, and Ginger on the left stands for the momentum and freedom since the Velvet Revolution. So we'll head up here in a minute and check out the great views from atop the dancing house. It's actually a hotel, cafe, and there's a restaurant up here as well. Apologize for the wind, very windy in Prague today. And we'll head up here in a second. So here we are on the glass bar of the dancing house. Amazing views of Prague. I'm tired. Prague Castle. See all the great architecture in this area. On the weekends, they do a huge farmer's market on Saturdays. Definitely worth coming here. It's absolutely packed, but worth it. Across the river is this Smíchov area of Prague. Yeah, definitely worth coming up here. You can get a coffee, get a beer, wine, mixed drinks. Or if you want a nice dinner out, you come to the Ginger and Fred restaurant. When the weather warms up, you can sit out on the patio, great views. By the way, so in the videos, let me know in the comments what you think, what vantage point view you like the best, and if you can like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it as well. On to the next location.
Thank you, sir.
Little better view of another view of the dancing house. So Trojan fans, when you come to Prague, check out the Dancing House Hotel. It's got great reviews. It's very centrally located, and it's Trojan alumni, so fight on. One more quick thing, so right next to the dancing house, so this house here on the 3rd floor, which is one below the top, is where President Vaclav Havel actually grew up. So his grandfather built this building in 1905. He was born in 1936. He lived here until 1971. And he and his wife moved to another part of Czechoslovakia at the time. And he moved back here in 1986. And I think lived here until the 90s. But yeah, so this flat right there is where his flat was. So Václav Havel was the president of the Czech Republic first president of the Czech Republic after the end of communism, after the Velvet Revolution. So a bit of history here right next to this. And then if you go down 4 houses, there's another building that looks just like this one. His grandfather built that as well. His grandfather was a famous engineer. He actually built Lucerna Palace in the Old Town area as well. So just a little extra bit. There's actually a plaque here, and on this plaque it says, "I lived here too, Václav Havel." You can barely see it because the sun is on this side. I'm not sure if you see the sign in there, but it says ING Václav Havel. That's his grandfather, the plaque, when he had this built in 1905. So these here are very famous things in Prague. They actually are called Stumblestones, but they're in memory of people who would have lived at a given residence and sent to the east during the Nazi occupation. Because I don't speak Czech, I'm not sure which one of these, if they lived after the war. Looks like these people might not have. And it shows one went to Terezín via Malthausen, Mauthausen in Austria. So their first stop would have been Terezin, and then they would have been sent to one of the work camps or concentration camps in other parts of the Reich. So if you're in Prague, look for these. They're around and they're called Stumblestones, and they're in memory of the people who suffered during Nazi occupation. So this is Park Legií, or better known as Shooter's Island. Great view of the Charles Bridge. Another free spot in Prague to come. This is a great spot to come at sunset. But a beautiful park area to come walk around. Plenty of room for the kids to play. Bring a picnic. Listen to the river flow. Paddle boats are even out, starting to come out now. Bit cold and windy for that, but summertime, this place will be full with paddle boats. There's the National Theater. Highly recommend taking it, if you come to Prague, taking a tour of that on the inside. It's breathtaking. Some views of the park area. Other side is Malestrana, Kampa Park. I have a video tour of Kampa in that area. Put that in the description. Again, please let me know what views you think are the best. I'm not ranking these in any order. Some are free, some are paid, but it gives you a good idea of where to come in Prague to take in the beautiful sights of all the architecture and the river. The bridge here in front of me is Legion Bridge, in front of the National Theater, tram crossing over. This was opened in 1901 by Emperor Franz Joseph I. Since 1901, it actually changed names several times, became a different name during communist times, I think it was May the 1st bridge, then changed back to Legion Bridge later on. But I think it's changed names like 5 times since it first opened. So this is the St. Nicholas Bell Tower. Well, it's right next to the church. It actually isn't part of the church, but the views from here are spectacular. The bell tower was built in between the years of 1739 and 1755. I'm gonna actually attach some video back from January when I climbed the tower. It was snowing that day, but it's 215 steps actually to the observation deck of the bell tower. Bell tower itself was actually belongs to the city of Prague, not to the church. The church dome and the bell tower are actually the same height. So one of the reasons I'm not going to climb it right now is it's not open. But other interesting point is from 1950 to 1989, this bell tower was actually STB lookout. So they would use the tower to actually spy on the embassies that are in the area. So back in the early days when it was in use, it was actually used to watch out over Prague as a watchtower to look for fires. Actually has an entire living quarters up there, kitchen, everything. It's a lot higher than it looks from down here, but I'll attach that video in there because I'm going to be climbing enough steps today. So this is the St. Nicholas Bell Tower right next to St. Nicholas Church, but it's actually not owned by the church, it's owned by the city of Prague. This is a little bonus clip here. These the peeing statues by David Czerny. So they're actually peeing into the map of the former Czechoslovakia. Very famous in Prague. It's right at the Franz Kafka Museum. Very, very famous. So good place to come. Charles Bridge there in front of us. concert hall Rudolphium on the other side of the bridge. Right at sunset here in Prague. St. Vitus at sunset. Can't beat that. Epic view. Is the Old Town Tower Bridge. One end of Charles Bridge. On the other end is the Lesser Town Tower Bridge.
Qué guapo, yo tengo gato papete, oye.
So our last spot on the tour, another free spot, right on the right side of the Charles Bridge, at the on the side of the Old Town Tower. Beautiful views of Prague right at dusk. Prague Castle. So if you like the tour, please give a thumbs up. Love to hear your comments. The tour is over. So this location in Prague is Our Lady of Exile. It was named after the Virgin Mary statue. It was commissioned by Czech exiles in the United States. They commissioned the statue in 1954. It was made by an Italian sculptor and sent to St. Procopius Abbey in Lisle, Illinois. This abbey actually has, in this location, has a lot of meaning for me personally, because I grew up in Naperville, Illinois. So my family moved to Naperville in 1981. I went to junior high school, college, got my first job, and lived there until 1995. So to be able to come here to Prague, moved here 5 years ago, met my wife back in 2002 and started visiting Prague in 2004. To be able to come here and see this statue and see the close affiliation that it has with really where I grew up in the United States is just so utterly meaningful. The location here is, I'm sitting here right now watching the sunrise over Prague, and you will have seen that in the opening clip. It's absolutely, unbelievably breathtaking. The only thing I could say is come up here for sunrise. Just a little bit more about the statue. For 40 years, the statue stood, as I said earlier, at St. Procopius Abbey in Lisle, Illinois. Czech exiles commissioned it. The exiles would actually, and the people would pray for the fall of communism. After the fall of communism, after the Velvet Revolution, the statue was actually brought to Prague in 1993. And it was consecrated at this site on May 7th, 1994. So this site here is at the top of Petrín Hill. It's right next to Strahov Monastery. But as I sit here this morning watching the sunrise on a perfect day over Prague, it is absolutely unbelievable. And I don't want to give my point of view on where this ranks in terms of views in Prague, but it's absolutely spectacular.